Good morning, everyone. This is Jeffy Kennedy, author of fantasy romance and romantic fantasy. I'm here with my first cup of coffee. That's good. I am definitely missing my cocoa truffle. I might just have to break down and order some. So let's see. Today is Tuesday, July 13th. I realized when I did the interview with Minerva yesterday, I forgot to ever say what day it was, but that was Monday, July 12th. My mom accused me of pre-recording, and we don't do that here at First Cup of Coffee. We don't plan ahead, unless the rare exception is the person who says that they can't stand to get up this early, and then they're generally like, "No fucking way, Jeffy, we're pre-recording it." And it's like, okay, fine, whatever. All right, so I sort of feel like I've been off rhythm doing all of these interviews with Minerva yesterday and Jack. What happened at the end was that I lost connectivity with her. And so I had to just, Zencaster works great because I can get the person's, their end sent to me. But I had hers all the way through. But because we could no longer see or hear each other, we both kept talking and we were overlapping each other. So I'd sort of cut off the very end, which included all of her saying things like, now let's see, here's camera. What do I do? So I cut that out. So that's why she ended abruptly. But we were winding up anyway. Like if the internet had held out just a moment longer, we would have been fine. But that's why the weird splicing at the end. Uh, so, um, so yeah, here I am. Here we are then, aren't we? So let's see. What shall I catch you guys up on? All the things, right? So yesterday was busy, but in a weird way. I did not write on Dragon's Daughter. Dragon's Daughter is coming along well. I've got almost the first scene done, so I'm at like 12,000 words on that book. Uh, I may have to give up trying to get it completely drafted by the date in August that I wanted to before I go to the birthday trip, because that was a little bit of a false deadline and it might be a little much. So I will do a reveal of the Sekrit V project. I feel like I need a drum roll. Let's try that. I have no sense of rhythm. I can't do anything like that. Like if you have, like, I'm the person when the audience is clapping along to the song, I'm like off. I I don't know. I'm just a terrible white girl. I march to my own rhythm, you guys, and it is a rhythm unlike any other known in the rest of the world. Somewhere out there is my tribe of people who know my rhythm, but they're not living here on planet Earth with me. Um, so, drumroll, Sekrit V project. So I'm definitely doing this for better or worse. We'll see how it works out. Uh, so I am doing a book on Kindle Vella. That's why I was calling it V Project. Did you guys guess? I mean, it was like there were so many clues. So Kindle Vella is Amazon's answer to Radish. And Radish is an app that you read on your phone where you read things serialized and you pay coins if you want to keep going. On Kindle Vella, the first episodes of anything is free, and then you pay coins to keep reading. So I am doing a book called Wedded to Darkness. Wedded to Darkness. And I'm calling it a paranormal erotica story. Um, I'm not sure if it's going to be a romance or not. So, because I'm actually going to be posting this as I write it. And Dorinda was going to do one and then decided not to because she was worried about starting it, not being able to finish. But I have put up the first 3 episodes. Kindle Villa is not yet live. They won't give us an exact date. They're saying it's like this week or something, mid July. Um, I'm sure that you will see advertising about it. I really wanted to get on the with the beginning of it. If I was going to do it, I wanted to be at the beginning when I thought they might give me more promo. I'm a little worried about choosing the erotica category because, and Grace and I were debating this yesterday. Like, does that mean that they'll suppress, like the famous erotica dungeon? But I wanted to be fair that this is what it is. Uh, Wedded to Darkness. So it's about a woman who marries this lord who has been a friend of hers. He saves her from a scandal, and she is grateful to him for doing this. And he tells her it's going to be like a chaste marriage of the minds. But then there is like, um, I don't want to be too spoilery, but I feel like, well, I'm just going to tell you guys it's like a Jekyll and Hyde story, only sex. So I uploaded the first 3 episodes. Each episode is fairly short. They come out to an average of like 1,300 words. Um, and so that's why I'm seeing if I can do this at the same time that I'm writing something else. So, because if I can get, my average of 1,300 word episodes, if I can do one a week, and I will keep going. I'll try to write a new episode also this week and get it uploaded, so I can kind of stay ahead of it. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I think I can keep up with that. That will be the big trick for me. But it's also pretty smutty, so maybe it'll be a fast write. um, yeah. So we'll see. You guys can check it out. You can like favorite books on there, and those rise to the top. I'm hoping that Amazon will, like put money behind. I don't know how many people are doing this. I've heard various authors talking about it, and you guys may have too. Um, but I know a couple people who have their stuff uploaded. Some people just, like had a whole book sitting around and uploaded that. I am not the person who has a whole book sitting around. Although it just occurred to me, I do have one book sitting around, but I'm not giving up that story. I'm going to rewrite it someday. Um, but yeah. So I spent yesterday doing that. I didn't write on Dragon's Daughter at all. I got everything finished up to put on Kindle Vella, including that 3rd episode. Um, it just took a silly amount of time. Some of these things do. Sometimes doing that business side of things does. So, let me know what you guys think. Uh, I'll be interested. It's an experiment. It's a lot more like Petals and Thorns. So this is the one that I was referencing before when I said that I was doing one that would be like Petals and Thorns. Um, so it's a little bit Dubcon. I mean, maybe a lot Dubcon. um, but it's all about. There's a lot of themes of like being tempted by the devil. The devil. Okay, I have to stop doing the devil voice, like Anna Faris, right? So, um, then today I am back to Dragon's Daughter, and then I'll just see if I can put some words in on Wedded to Darkness, now that it has an actual name. And yeah, so we'll see how all of that goes. I really am trying not to stress about getting Dragon's Daughter done, um, although people are already. No, actually, everybody's being really good. Everybody's being great about Gray Magic and saying December. Okay, December, we'll just patiently wait till December. I already have a lot of pre-orders for book 3, which is awesome. Oh, and the good news is, remember, for those of you who listen all the time, I said that I just barely missed beating that Under a Winter Sky pre-order numbers by like 6 books. It turned out I did beat it. Woohoo! I was very happy. I ended up beating it by like 5 books. It was just late breaking data. Like Amazon updated it later in the day, and I don't know. The pre-orders came in from Sri Lanka or something. So yeah, that was pretty awesome. I was really excited to have beat that number, and it'll be interesting to see if I can do better with Gray Magic. Bright Familiar did amazing. Thank you guys. I was in the top 100 of the subcategories all weekend long in that book. It started to drop out yesterday afternoon, I think, as those Tuesday releases hit. And so I expect those to continue to crowd out the subcategories. It'll be interesting to see if it comes back up again. And so, for those of you interested in marketing strategy and so forth, at this point, what I will do is I will go back and just focus efforts on promo for Dark Wizard again and allow Dark Wizard to funnel readers into Bright Familiar. I don't worry excessively about trying to keep books in the top 100 of the subcategories. There are people who really, really count on that. I think especially people who are in Kindle Unlimited. For me, I rely much more on word of mouth, um, people recommending books. Uh, for me, that seems to be how most of my books get sold. So, um, yeah, it was really great to see Bright Familiar do so well over the weekend. Uh, just monumental, you guys. Thank you. And I'm so happy that everyone loves it after my angsting over writing it, right? Um, but a lot of people have told me they think it's even better than the first book. So, woo, that's so exciting. And I even kind of know what's going to happen in book 3, which is amazing. But you guys can probably guess because I've been queuing certain things. So, one thing that I have been wanting to talk about that's been on my little list of notes here um, is I've been hearing and seeing a lot of people sharing stuff more about dealing with the pressure of life. And I and I think I've touched on this glancingly, but I wanted to talk about it just a little bit more because I even shared this meme. Maybe I should put it on the photo for this episode because I thought it was funny. I shared it on Facebook, but it said that being an adult is saying after this week things will slow down over and over again until you die. And I mean, it's resonating with so many people because everybody's like, oh, this is me. And I mean, you guys hear me do it on this podcast all the time, right? It's like once I get this book out, things will slow down. And that's part of why I want to um, not stress too much about Dragon's Daughter. I want to back off a little bit and not be so caught up in being frenzied. It's so easy to be frenzied. And I think part of what's happening for a lot of us is remember at the beginning of lockdown. So thinking back to, well, now, I mean, we're like coming up on a year ago, March, when the lockdown first happened, people were calling it things like the big pause or, the slowdown. It seemed like everything just ground to a halt, right? We ended up canceling all of our travel plans. We didn't get to go do the things that we normally got to do. We didn't get to go out to the restaurants. I didn't get to go to Writer Coffee, like the only thing I ever do. We didn't get to do all of these things that had normally packed our days. Um, for many of you, it was very stressful because you were dealing with having kids at home from school. But, people were staying at home. And like I did start doing a whole bunch more work around the house and on the yard that has continued to carry through. I think a lot of people started doing that. We talked about our pandemic projects. People were doing things like baking sourdough because we were looking for things to fill our time because we unexpectedly had all of this extra time. And And it was weird at first. Think back to how you felt, because David and I kept talking about it. We'd go for these very, very long walks, which we stopped doing. I mean, we still go for our walks, but not the really long ones, because it was like we didn't have anything else we could do. And so we would go walk and we would be like, it feels like everything is just slowed way down, like it came to a screeching halt, and then it plodded along at this very slow pace. And I think what happened is that was actually a great reset for a lot of us, because we had been going at this frenzied rate, and then we had to stop. And there is the somewhat tired analogy of the frog in boiling water. In fact, I feel like it's tired enough that it's almost become meaningless. But that said, the whole concept of is that if you have a frog in cold water and gradually heat it up, heat the water, that by the time the frog boils to death, the frog won't ever jump out. Whereas if you put a frog in boiling water, it'll jump out immediately. So we grow. It's a good analogy for how we grow gradually accustomed to more and more and more stress, which I think is really true of us in life. That you get used to having a certain level of stress, a certain level of activity, and as it accumulates, as it increases, you don't notice that so much until suddenly it's gone. And I think that's why a lot of us were flailing at the beginning of lockdown, because it was like, well, what do I do now? I have nothing to do. Everything has stopped. And now things are ramping up again, right? And we are noticing the heating of the water. We are noticing that suddenly we don't have all of this time for really long walks anymore. And we kind of got used to baking sourdough and taking really long walks. And now we don't have time. And it's like, oh, yeah, this is why I was not doing this before. I have travel plans, obviously going to Coronado Island in August. I'm going to be at NINC in September, if anyone else is going to be at NINC, Novelists Inc. I may end up being at Worldcon in December. The little mosquitoes flitting around here. The mosquitoes say things never ramped down for them. A little crew just sort of like emerged here. And then we're planning Nebula Conference next May in Los Angeles. So I'm going to be traveling again, which means that I have to plan around that travel. And one thing that I noticed, and I think I have time still to talk about this, is like taking that week off between books. That was really good for me. It really helped to refill the well. And I'm going to really try to be better about taking more time off. Mosquito. Because in this same way, the same kind of analogy, when you burn out or when you get tired, in the same way that stress works, it happens gradually, so gradually that you don't notice. Oops. And you spill latte on yourself. I was on a panel at a Nebula conference back before lockdown, back when we still went to conferences. And it was a really good panel because it was on burnout. And one of the commonalities of the panel, and I think I've talked about this before, but it's worth revisiting, that one of the great commonalities was that none of us realized that we were burning out. And I'm speaking creatively, but it ends up affecting all areas of your life, that you don't realize that you're burning out until you're there. And even then, none of us, this was really salient of all the panelists, because the moderator asked us how we knew that we were burned out. And in every single case, it was amazing. Every single case, someone else told us that we were. It was not something we realized ourselves. And we talked about this, that we think maybe we weren't capable of recognizing it ourselves. And it took someone else saying, look, you are stressed, you are exhausted, you need to take some time. And it's only after you come out of it again that then you have the perspective and you're like, oh, wow, I was burned out. I think being tired and being stressed works the same way, that you only realize when you are suddenly not tired, that it's like, oh, wait, this is way better than how I usually feel. But when you're tired, you just get gradually more and more tired, and and you're sort of in the pit of it, and it's really hard to recognize things. So I would keep that in mind, that everybody's been anxious to get back to our old lives. Maybe we don't want them to be like they were before. Maybe this is our opportunity to make them maybe be paced a little bit slower. Build in that time to bake sourdough bread and to take really long walks. Hummingbird agrees. I think she even came into the screen a little bit there. I'll do earrings really quick. We are still in remember how I mentioned that I ended up with a bunch of pearl stud earrings? Here's another pearl stud earring. The sunlight's coming in, so it's kind of hard to see. You don't even need to see it because it is it's hard to get a good view of it. There we go. Uh, it's just a pearl. But don't they look pretty? These are stud earrings that actually show up in my ears, even in the tenebrous depths of my hair. I don't know why I insist on saying that, except I think it's funny and it's poking at Grace. Um, but yeah, they show up like little moons in the night. All right, on that note, I will remind you all that First Cup of Coffee is part of the Frolic Media Podcast Network. You will find more podcasts that you love at frolic.media/podcasts. And I will talk to you all on Thursday. Take care. Bye bye.